You're 24 years old, and your family just got back from a week in Hawaii. You weren't invited because someone needed to watch the house. While they were posting beach photos of crystal clear waters and perfect sunsets, you were eating leftover pizza alone in a house that felt more like a tomb than a home, wondering how you became the family's live-in maid instead of their daughter. This is the story of the forgotten middle child who was invisible when she was needed and blamed when things went wrong. The girl who learned that no matter how much she sacrificed, how much she bled, how much she gave of herself until there was nothing left, she would never be enough. So Nancy Rodriguez grows up as the mistake in the middle, the child who came too soon after Elena and too early before Bella. Elena's 3 years older, the golden child with perfect grades, perfect smile, perfect everything who can do no wrong. Bella's 4 years younger, the baby princess with big brown eyes and dimples who gets everything she wants with a single pout. And Nancy? Nancy's the burden they have to deal with, the middle child who takes up space but never quite fits anywhere. From day one, Nancy learns she doesn't matter. She's 5 years old, wobbling on her pink bicycle with training wheels, trying so hard to keep up with Elena, who's already riding like a pro. The bike hits a crack in the sidewalk, and Nancy goes flying, skin scraping against hot concrete, blood streaming from her knee in bright red rivers that scare her more than the pain. She runs inside looking for comfort, tiny hands shaking as she pushes through the screen door, tears streaming down her cheeks and mixing with the snot running from her nose. "Mommy, Mommy, I fell. It hurts so bad," she cries, blood dripping onto the kitchen linoleum. Her mom barely glances up from where she's sitting at the kitchen table with Elena, surrounded by multiplication worksheets and colored pencils. "Put a Band-Aid on it, Nancy. Elena has a test tomorrow, and we need to practice these problems." Nancy stands there for a moment, small and bleeding and invisible, watching her mother's attention stay laser-focused on Elena's homework while her own pain goes unnoticed. But 2 hours later, Bella gets a tiny splinter in her finger, barely visible, no blood, just a little sliver of wood from the deck railing. Suddenly, it's a medical emergency that stops everything. Ice packs appear, kisses rain down, 20 minutes of poor baby attention flows like water. Mom holds Bella in her lap, rocking her gently, while Dad examines the splinter with a magnifying glass like it's major surgery. Nancy watches from the doorway, her knee still throbbing under a crooked Band-Aid she put on herself, and something cold settles in her chest. She learns early, her pain doesn't count, her needs don't matter, she doesn't deserve comfort. By age 10, Nancy isn't living as a daughter. She's living as unpaid help with calloused hands and a perpetually sore back. While Elena gets driven to soccer practice in the family's nice car, windows down and music playing, and Bella goes to art classes where she paints masterpieces that get hung on the refrigerator, Nancy's at home scrubbing toilets with bleach that makes her eyes water and doing everyone's laundry in the basement that always smells like detergent and dampness. Picture this heartbreaking scene. Nancy's 12, and she spent her entire Saturday cleaning the house from top to bottom, while her sisters are out having fun. She's exhausted, her small hands raw and red from cleaning chemicals that burn her skin, fingernails broken from scrubbing grout, and she just wants to rest for 5 minutes. Her back aches from reaching into the bathtub, her knees are sore from scrubbing floors, and her head pounds from the smell of ammonia and pine sol. She finally sits down on the worn couch cushions to watch TV, remote control feeling heavy in her tired hands, and her mom walks through the front door carrying grocery bags. "Nancy, what are you doing? The kitchen floor still needs mopping, and dinner isn't going to make itself. We have company coming tomorrow, and this house needs to be perfect." Nancy's shoulders slump. She's been working for 8 hours straight, but she nods and starts to get up. But Elena walks in from soccer practice right behind Mom, her face flushed and glowing from exercise, throwing her muddy cleats anywhere they land, right on the clean carpet Nancy just vacuumed. Elena collapses dramatically on the couch, taking up the exact spot Nancy just vacated, her soccer uniform grass-stained and sweaty. "I'm so tired from practice," Elena sighs, sprawling across the cushions like she's been through a war. Coach made us run suicides for an entire hour. I think I might literally die. Mom immediately rushes over, all concern and maternal attention. Oh, sweetheart, you work so hard. You're going to be amazing this season. Nancy, bring your sister some ice water and make her a turkey sandwich, and grab some of those cookies from the pantry. Nancy's been working all day. Her hands are practically bleeding. Her back screams with every movement. But Elena's tired from one soccer practice. So Elena gets pampered while Nancy gets more chores. Nancy trudges to the kitchen, each step feeling like her feet weigh 1,000 pounds, and makes Elena's sandwich with hands that shake from exhaustion. When Nancy turns 16, something happens that crushes whatever fragile hope she had left beating in her chest. The family decides to take a vacation to Disney World, Elena's graduation gift for finishing high school with honors. Nancy's so excited she can barely sleep for weeks. Finally, a family trip where she gets to be included, where she gets to be a daughter instead of a maid, where she might actually get to make memories instead of just watching everyone else make them. She researches rides online, plans outfits, saves her babysitting money for souvenirs. For the first time in years, Nancy feels like she might actually belong somewhere, might actually matter to someone. But 2 weeks before the trip, her parents sit her down at the kitchen table where she's eaten 1,000 silent dinners. The air feels heavy, like before a storm, and Nancy's stomach already knows what's coming even before they speak. "Nancy, we've been thinking," her dad starts, not quite meeting her eyes. "Someone needs to stay home and watch the house. You understand, right? Elena's graduating and Bella's never been to Disney. You can go next time." The words hit her like physical blows. Nancy feels something crack inside her chest, something that might have been hope or dreams or the last piece of her heart that still believed she mattered. There is no next time. There never is for Nancy. So Nancy watches her family pack matching suitcases, watches them get excited over restaurant reservations and fast-pass selections, watches them leave her behind like she's a houseplant they need watered. She stands in the doorway as the taxi pulls away, watching the car disappear around the corner, taking her family to make memories without her. She spends a week alone in that empty house that echoes with every footstep, eating cereal for dinner because she's too heartbroken to cook, wondering what she did wrong to deserve this abandonment. The silence is so complete, it feels like drowning. She talks to herself just to hear a human voice, watches old movies to feel less alone, and cries into pillows that smell like fabric softener and disappointment. They come back with tanned faces and inside jokes, suitcases full of Mickey Mouse ears and photos of magical moments Nancy will never be part of. Elena has stories about Space Mountain, Bella has a collection of pressed pennies, and their parents have matching t-shirts and memories that will last forever. Nancy gets a generic Disney World t-shirt they grabbed at the airport gift shop, still with the price tag on it, probably bought when they realized they hadn't gotten her anything at all. Nancy's 18th birthday becomes the day that breaks something inside her forever, the day when the last piece of her childhood dies a quiet death. She wakes up with this tiny spark of hope flickering in her chest. Maybe this year will be different. Maybe they'll remember. Maybe, just once, she'll feel like she matters to the people who are supposed to love her most. She brushes her teeth extra carefully, picks out her favorite shirt, even puts on a little makeup, hoping someone might notice she's trying to look special on her special day. She comes downstairs to the kitchen, where morning sunlight streams through windows she cleaned just yesterday. And nothing. The world continues spinning like any other Tuesday. Elena's complaining about college applications spread across the table, papers everywhere, and stress radiating from her like heat. Bella's having friend drama, her phone buzzing constantly with texts she responds to with dramatic sighs. Mom and Dad are rushing around getting ready for work, coffee mugs clinking, keys jingling, the usual morning chaos that doesn't pause for anything. Not one happy birthday, not even eye contact. Nancy sits there eating cereal that tastes like cardboard, milk getting warm in her bowl, watching her family exist around her like she's invisible, like she's a ghost at her own birthday breakfast. The hurt is so deep she feels physically sick, her stomach cramping with the pain of being forgotten by the people who made her. She goes to school carrying that hurt like a stone in her chest. Her friends remember. They sing to her in the hallway, bring her cupcakes at lunch, make her feel special and seen. Teachers remember, writing happy birthday messages on her assignments. Even Mrs. Patterson, the lunch lady with the hairnet and kind eyes, gives her extra cookies and a warm smile. But her own family? Complete silence. Nancy comes home that afternoon with a tiny flame of hope still flickering. Maybe they planned a surprise. Maybe they were just pretending to forget. She opens the front door to hear laughter from the living room, and her heart jumps. Maybe this is it. Maybe they do care. But no, they're watching a movie together as a family, all cuddled on the couch with popcorn and blankets, sharing jokes and commentary. Without her, on her birthday, they're having family time without the family member whose birthday it is. That night, Nancy lies in bed staring at the ceiling that has the same water stain it's had for 3 years, listening to the house settle around her, and realizes something that destroys her. She could disappear tomorrow, could vanish completely from the face of the earth, and it would take them days to notice, maybe weeks, maybe never. Every single day, Nancy's reminded that she's not enough and will never be enough, no matter how hard she tries or how much she achieves. The comparisons come like bullets, each one finding its mark, each one leaving another scar on her already wounded soul. Elena gets into Princeton with a full academic scholarship. The house erupts in celebration. Champagne, dinner at the fancy steakhouse, Facebook posts with professional photos, calls to grandparents and friends. But the celebration comes with a sting. Nancy, why can't you be more like your sister? Elena never brought home B's. Elena applies herself. Elena has direction. Nancy makes honor roll that same semester, her report card full of A's and B's earned through late nights and determination. "That's nice, dear," her mother says, without looking up from folding Elena's laundry. "Did you finish everyone's laundry? And Bella needs her soccer uniform washed for tomorrow's game." Bella wins a local art contest with a painting of sunflowers that took her 2 hours. Family celebration. Dinner out at Applebee's where they order dessert and take pictures. Facebook posts about their talented baby that get dozens of likes and heart emojis. The painting gets framed and hung in the living room where everyone can see it. Nancy gets accepted to college with a partial scholarship she worked her ass off for, staying up until 2 a.m. writing essays and filling out applications. "That's good, Nancy. Can you pick up Bella from school tomorrow? I have a hair appointment." Her acceptance letter sits on the kitchen counter for 3 days before someone finally moves it to pay a bill. Nancy learns to stop sharing good news because it either gets ignored completely or turned into a lecture about how she should be doing better, trying harder, being more like Elena, who never has to try at all. When Nancy's 19 and supposed to be living the carefree college life, disaster strikes the Rodriguez household like a hurricane nobody saw coming. Her dad's landscaping business fails when the economy tanks, clients stop calling, and the contracts dry up like dead leaves. They're 3 months behind on mortgage payments. The bank is sending threatening letters in red envelopes, and they're about to lose everything they've worked for. But Nancy's just a kid, so they don't tell her how bad it really is. They whisper behind closed doors, have hushed conversations that stop when she enters a room, act like everything's fine while their world crumbles around them. But Nancy knows. She sees the foreclosure notices stuffed hastily into drawers when she's cleaning, hears the midnight arguments about money through thin walls, watches her parents' faces grow more haggard each day. She notices when the grocery shopping gets smaller, when they start buying generic brands, when the cable gets turned off, and they claim they're taking a break from television. So she does something that'll break your heart. She gets 3 jobs, working every spare moment between classes. She waitresses at a diner until 2 a.m., smelling like grease and exhaustion. She cleans offices on weekends, scrubbing toilets and vacuuming cubicles while everyone else is sleeping in. She babysits for neighbors, watching other people's children while her own family falls apart. And she starts slipping cash into her mom's purse with notes written in her careful handwriting. Found this in the couch cushions, or left over from babysitting. 20s, 50s, sometimes hundreds when she's had a particularly good week. Money she should be spending on textbooks and groceries for herself, money that represents hours of backbreaking work and sacrifice. For 18 months, Nancy works herself to the bone, her grades slipping, her health deteriorating, her social life non-existent. She eats ramen noodles for every meal, wears thrift store clothes with small stains and loose threads, has no social life because every free moment is spent working. She develops chronic headaches from exhaustion, her hands crack from chemicals and cold water, and she loses weight she can't afford to lose. She's literally keeping them off the streets, preventing her family from becoming another foreclosure statistic, another broken dream in suburban America. The mortgage gets caught up. The bank stops calling. The family celebrates surviving the rough patch with a dinner at Olive Garden, all smiles and relief. They hug each other, thank God for their good fortune, toast to better times ahead, never knowing their forgotten daughter is the reason they still have a home to sleep in. Nancy doesn't tell them. What's the point? She knows they'd find a way to make it not matter, to minimize her sacrifice, to turn it into something she was supposed to do anyway. 2 years later, just when Nancy thinks she might finally be able to focus on her own life, another crisis hits like déjà vu with sharper teeth. Dad's new business is struggling, bills are piling up again like autumn leaves, and the familiar panic starts creeping back into the house. Once again, Nancy secretly comes to the rescue without hesitation, taking out extra student loans that will follow her for decades, telling the financial aid office she needs more money for living expenses when really she's about to give it all away. She forges documents, lies on applications, puts her own financial future at risk to save theirs. Nancy's surviving on pasta and peanut butter sandwiches that taste like cardboard and desperation, working until 2 a.m. at jobs that make her bones ache, sacrificing everything, her grades, her health, her dreams of study abroad, her chance at unpaid internships that could launch her career. For the second time in 3 years, she single-handedly saves them from financial ruin, bleeding herself dry so they can live comfortably. And how do they celebrate getting through the crisis? How do they show gratitude for their mysterious good fortune? They book a vacation to Hawaii for 4 people. Nancy finds the flight confirmations on the kitchen counter, bright white papers with tropical destinations and dates that don't include her name anywhere. Her hands shake as she reads the details. Ocean view rooms, luau dinners, snorkeling excursions. Everything she's ever dreamed of, paid for with money she made possible. When she asks about it, her voice small and careful, her mom doesn't even look apologetic. She's folding laundry Nancy washed, and doesn't pause in her movements. "Oh, honey, we could only afford 4 tickets, and besides, someone needs to watch the house. You'll be fine here by yourself. You understand, right? You always understand." Nancy always understands, even when it's killing her, even when understanding feels like swallowing glass. She spends that week alone, eating leftover pizza that gets cold before she can finish it, watching her family post beach photos on Instagram, photos of the families she saved, having the time of their lives without her. Elena in a bikini on white sand beaches, Bella building sandcastles with Dad, Mom sipping tropical drinks with little umbrellas, all of them tanned and happy and together. Without her. Always without her. That's when Nancy realizes the devastating truth that cuts deeper than any blade. She's not their daughter. She's their secret keeper, their problem solver, their unpaid help, their guardian angel they don't believe in. She's everyone they turn to when they need something, and no one they think of when it's time to celebrate. On a Tuesday night in October, when the air is crisp and the leaves are dying their beautiful death, Nancy sits down at her desk with a pen that feels heavier than it should and writes the most devastating letter of her life. Not angry, that would be easier. Heartbreaking. Pure, raw pain that's been building like pressure behind a dam for 24 years, finally finding its way to paper. Her hand shakes as she writes, tears blurring the ink, making her stop and restart sentences until they say exactly what needs to be said. She tells them about every forgotten birthday where she ate cake alone, every family vacation she was left out of while watching their happiness from the outside, every time she was treated like hired help instead of their daughter. She writes about cleaning up after them while they lived their lives, about being invisible unless they needed something, about learning that her pain didn't matter and her dreams were expendable. But then she tells them the part that destroys everything, the part that will haunt them forever. How she's been their guardian angel for years while they treated her like nothing. She tells them about the job she worked until her hands bled, about the student loans that will drown her for decades, about eating nothing but ramen and peanut butter sandwiches so they could keep their house and their comfort and their ignorant bliss. She tells them about sacrificing her own dreams to make theirs possible, about choosing their survival over her own future, about loving them so much she was willing to disappear rather than let them suffer. And then she ends with this paragraph that shatters everything they thought they knew about love and family. I've spent 24 years being invisible to the people I love most. I've saved you from losing everything twice, working myself to exhaustion and sacrificing my own future, and you don't even know my favorite color. I've been your daughter, your maid, your secret savior, and your biggest disappointment all at once. I'm not angry anymore. Anger requires energy I don't have left. I'm just tired, soul-deep, bone-deep tired. And I can't watch you celebrate the life I made possible while treating me like I don't deserve to be part of it. I can't keep being the ghost in my own family. Nancy seals the letter with hands that won't stop shaking, places it on the kitchen table where they'll find it in the morning, and disappears into the night like smoke, like she was never there at all. Nancy's family wakes up to find her gone. Not just out, but gone. No clothes missing from her closet, no suitcase taken, no note about where she's going or when she'll be back. Just vanished, like she evaporated into thin air, leaving only that letter on the kitchen table, like a bomb waiting to explode. The letter destroys them completely, each word hitting like a physical blow. Elena throws up after reading it, her perfect composure cracking as she realizes what she's been blind to. Bella won't stop crying, her art supplies forgotten, as she understands for the first time what her sister has endured. Their parents sit in stunned silence, the letter shaking in their hands as they realize they've been living with a stranger, because they never bothered to know their own daughter. They search everywhere with the desperation of people who've lost something precious they never knew they had. Police stations, hospitals, friends they realize they don't know Nancy has because they never asked about her life. They call her cell phone 100 times, hearing it ring from her bedroom where she left it behind like everything else. Nobody's seen Nancy. She's disappeared, like she was never there at all, like she was always a ghost they just finally stopped pretending to see. 3 days pass in a nightmare of regret and panic. Elena remembers something Nancy said years ago, back when they were kids and still talked sometimes, about a place where she felt safe. There's this old playground behind their elementary school with swings that creak in the wind and a big oak tree where Nancy used to go when she was little and the house became too much to bear. Elena finds Nancy sitting under that oak tree at sunset, the dying light filtering through leaves that will be gone soon. It's the place where Nancy used to escape when home became unbearable, when the weight of being unseen became too heavy to carry. Nancy's been there for 3 days, just thinking, just breathing, just existing without having to be invisible or useful or sorry for taking up space. She looks smaller somehow, fragile in a way Elena has never noticed before. Her clothes wrinkled and her hair uncombed, but her face more peaceful than it's been in years. Elena approaches slowly, her footsteps crunching on fallen leaves, like Nancy might disappear again if she moves too fast. "We read your letter," she whispers, her voice breaking on the words. "We know what we did." Nancy looks up, with eyes so tired, so empty, they barely seem to belong to someone who's only 24. "Do you? Do you really know? Or are you just scared because your safety net is gone?" The words hit Elena like slaps, each one deserved, each one cutting deep because they're true. What happens next is the most honest conversation this family has ever had, the kind of brutal truth-telling that only comes when everything else has already been destroyed. Elena breaks down first, her perfect composure crumbling like a house of cards. "I thought you were just okay with everything. I thought you liked helping, liked being needed. I never asked if you were happy because I was afraid the answer would make me feel guilty for being happy myself." She realizes she's never asked Nancy about her dreams, her life, her feelings beyond whether dinner was ready or if the laundry was done. "I don't know what you want to be when you grow up. I don't know if you've ever been in love. I don't know what makes you laugh or what makes you cry. You're my sister, and I don't know who you are." The parents arrive after Elena calls them, panic in their voices and fear in their movements. They find Nancy sitting under that tree, their daughter who's been carrying them for years while they forgot she existed, and the sight breaks them completely. Her dad falls to his knees in the dirt, his business clothes getting stained, his composure gone. "You saved us, twice. You kept us from losing everything, and we left you behind. We left behind the daughter who saved us." Her mom can barely speak through tears that seem to come from somewhere deeper than sadness. "I don't even know your favorite food. I don't know what makes you happy. I don't know who you are, and you're my daughter. I carried you for 9 months, and I don't know who you are." The admission hangs in the air like a physical thing, heavy and terrible and true. Nancy doesn't come home that night, or the next. She needs time to figure out if she wants to be part of a family that only noticed her when she was gone, only valued her when they realized what they'd lost. She stays in a cheap motel room with thin walls and scratchy sheets, thinking about what she wants her life to look like, who she wants to be when she's not busy being invisible. But slowly, like flowers growing through concrete cracks, things begin to change. Elena quits her perfect job at a prestigious law firm and moves back home to help. Really help, not just exist while Nancy does everything. She learns how to cook, how to clean, how to take care of a family instead of just being taken care of. Bella starts doing her own laundry, cooking her own meals, being a sister instead of a princess who expects everything to be done for her. Their parents go to therapy together, and separately, trying to understand how they failed so completely, how they raised one daughter to believe she didn't matter. They learn Nancy's favorite color, purple, like the sunset she watched alone for years, her dreams, travel writing, seeing the world beyond the house where she was invisible, her fears, being forgotten forever, disappearing without leaving a mark. They read her college essays and realize she's brilliant. They look at her bank statements and see the sacrifices she made. They count the hours she worked and realize she gave up her youth to save their comfort. 6 months later, Nancy comes home. Not to the same family that broke her, but to a family that's learning how to see her, how to appreciate her, how to love her the way she always deserved. The house feels different now, lighter somehow, like a weight has been lifted from rooms that always felt too small for all the things that weren't being said. They have family dinners, like confiding in a close friend. Energy, warm, calm, emotionally grounded. They plan a vacation, and Nancy's name is on every ticket, every reservation, every plan they make. Nancy's story isn't about revenge. Revenge would have been easier, cleaner, more satisfying in the moment. It's about what happens when someone who's been invisible refuses to stay hidden, when the foundation of a family realizes it's been built on the back of someone they forgot to love. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is disappear completely, vanish like morning mist, so people finally understand what they lost when they stopped seeing you, stopped valuing you, stopped remembering that you were there at all. The middle child who vanished didn't just save herself, she saved her family by forcing them to see the daughter they'd been ignoring, the woman who'd been loving them from the shadows while they forgot she existed, the guardian angel they never thanked because they never knew she was there at all. Today, Nancy isn't the forgotten middle child anymore. She's the daughter who taught her family how to see, how to appreciate, and how to love someone who's been there all along, carrying them without asking for anything in return. Her favorite color is purple, like the bruises she carried for years, and like the sunset she watched alone until she wasn't alone anymore. She dreams of writing about far-off places, and now she has a family who wants to hear about those dreams, who sees her not as their savior or their servant, but as their daughter. Sometimes you have to disappear completely before people realize you were the most important person in the room. And sometimes, just sometimes, the people who hurt you the most are the ones who needed to lose you to understand how much you were worth and how much they were worth when they finally learned how to love you back. You can share your own story. Email it to me if you want to stay anonymous, and remember to subscribe for more relatable stories.